The AMP Research PowerStep that we have here today is gonna be a great choice for the 2019 and newer Ram owners out there who are looking to go with a premium side step option that will offer that big feature of automatically deploying whenever the door is open and then automatically retracting whenever the door is closed. Now, the AMP PowerStep package will include the 6-inch aluminum steps or boards that we have on the table with us here today, along with all of your brackets, motors, lights, and wiring, all for right around that $1,600 to $1,700 price point. Now, the steps can hold upwards of 600 pounds per side, and the install is gonna get a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and take a few hours to complete from start to finish, as we'll show you later in the video. All right, guys, so you're currently looking at one of my favorite options in the category when it comes to running boards or side steps. Granted, they're not cheap, but you get what you pay for. So we know these things are automated. That's obviously the big draw to a PowerStep from AMP, but why is that such a big deal? Well, with the exception of a drop step, most fixed running boards or Nerf bars mount only, I'd say, a few inches below the body or cab line. So depending on how tall you are or how much your truck is lifted, you really might not be getting that much help when it comes to entering or exiting your truck. Now, this problem obviously gets magnified on trucks that are equipped with much larger lifts. And that's where the PowerStep comes into play. Now, when deployed, the AMP steps here are far easier to reach thanks to their swing down design, which are gonna lower the steps 13.5 inches from the door line, which ultimately just makes getting in and out of your stock or lifted Ram a much easier task. Now, if that 13.5 inches is still not enough, you have a massive lift kit on your Ram. Well, AMP Research also offers a 2-inch extension kit for owners that, again, are running that big lift and want that step even lower. Now, the best part about a PowerStep is that it does all of this cool stuff automatically, right? It's gonna deploy as soon as your door is open and then swing back underneath the cab once that door is closed. This way you're getting all of that added exit or entry help we just talked about, but with the step fully retracted and out of the way, you're gonna maintain a ton of ground clearance if you do take your truck off-road on occasion, in addition to just making for a much cleaner look or appearance with those running boards hidden. So all of that is obviously the main draw to a PowerStep like the AMP here. But what do you say we move into the build and construction? And I think you guys will find that the steps themselves are made from a very lightweight and extremely durable anodized aluminum. Now, I personally like the black here because it kind of helps them disappear underneath the truck when they are tucked up out of the way. But if you did want to jazz things up a little bit, maybe have a chrome package truck, well, AMP Research does also offer an optional stainless steel trim kit that will certainly add some bling to the steps themselves. Now, the steps are, again, 6 inches wide, and they are gonna offer a ton of space to put your foot down, and again, can support upwards of 600 pounds per side. So despite the moving parts and all that good stuff, you're still getting a lot of weight support here. Last but not least, when we're talking about the step themselves here, guys, I really like the finish of that black powder coat. To me, I'm used to skateboard back in the day. This kind of feels like a grip tape material, and that's gonna just offer a ton of grip, whether the step is dry, wet, snow, whatever. Definitely not gonna be slipping off this thing anytime soon. But as far as your moving parts are concerned, well, AMP is gonna utilize nothing but the best stuff here as well, guys, just to make sure these things are gonna operate as intended for many years to come. This is going to include things like stainless steel hinge points, maintenance-free self-lubricating bushings, and also waterproof OEM quality electronics and drive motors. Now, the boards are built in the USA, and speaking of making sure these things are gonna last long, they do carry a 5-year or 60,000 mile warranty in case you should ever run into any issues. Now, as a family man, one thing I did want to point out that I found to be really cool with the AMP steps here is that they feature anti-pinch technology. And basically what this is going to do, guys, is prevent these things from automatically closing on maybe a little foot or your pet, something like that, if they detect any pressure at all. So again, nice safety feature. It's built into the steps here, so you're not going to have to worry about that with your family. It's something I really enjoy, and I always want to point out if there is added safety tech built in like that I think you guys will find valuable as well. Last but not least, guys, each step or each kit does include 4 high-powered LEDs, 2 per side, And those are gonna be great, right? Because it's gonna help illuminate the step or the board at night in dimly lit areas, but it's also gonna serve as a puddle light, hopefully help prevent you, your wife, or your family from stepping into anything nasty. All right, but enough yapping out of me. As promised, let's get into the install. This one is gonna be a bit more involved, obviously, compared to your standard running board, just due to the wiring, the lighting, and so forth. So because of that, expect to spend a little bit more time in the garage or driveway with this particular job. But to give you a better idea of just how exactly the amp steps will get installed on your Ram at home, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown now.
Tools for this install: a trim removal tool and a clip removal tool, an electric ratchet or ratchet, 10mm and 13mm socket, as well as a 3/16 and a 4mm Allen bit, wire crimpers, a marker, and if you are installing your LEDs and drilling, a 19/64 drill bit. Now underneath the truck, take the motorized bracket and put that at the front. And secure it with the kit provided hardware. And with a 13mm socket, tighten the nuts down. For this one in the front near the motor, grab a 13mm wrench because it's a little hard to get to. Now do the same with the rear bracket as well. Now on the outside of the driver's side, there's going to be a bracket on the outside of the frame. Grab a 10mm socket and get that removed so we can replace it with our new one. There's going to be 3 bolts, 2 up top and 1 on the bottom. Now with your stock hardware, place the new bracket in its place. Again, this is going to be a 10mm socket. Now on the motorized bracket, we can now mount our motor. With a 4mm Allen bit or key, tighten up the hardware. Now on the underside of your steps, there are a couple nut plates that will be mounting to our brackets on the truck. Now the nut plates are adjustable so you can move your steps to where you need them comfortably. We are going to be mounting the hardware through the brackets and into the nut plates. Now we can place our step onto our brackets and get underneath to secure our hardware. Now place your hardware through the bottom of the bracket. And with a 3/16 Allen bit or key, tighten that down. Now repeat that for the other bracket as well. Now that your steps are bolted on, grab your controller unit, pop open your hood, couple zip ties, and we'll get this tied up. And now we can grab our step harness. Plug in your wiring harness to your control box. And wiring to your battery as well. And now we can fish the rest of our wiring. And take one side of your harness and slide that down into your fender well so we can get that connected to our steps. Now take your purple leads for your OBD2 and run that in front of your steering drum. That way we can get it fished into the cab. Now we are going to fish these wires through the firewall into the grommet next to the steering shaft. Now it's time to connect our leads to our OBD2. We are going to use some spade connectors for the ends of each. and we're placing the female end on our OBD2 connection. And now we can connect those to the male ends. Now on the other side of the OBD2, there is a 2-plug prong. We do need to remove this panel to plug that into the 2 ports that we have there. Now take your trim panel removal tool and pry that in between your dash and that panel. And pull to release the clips. Now take that plug connection and plug it into the panel on the top right. Now plug in your OBD2 and replace your side panel. And finally, make your last connection to the motor on the side steps. And repeat that on the other side. Now, if you are choosing to use the LED lights that came with the kit, right now would be the time that we'd start drilling into our pinch weld. We're not going to be drilling today, but we're going to show you how to do it and where. So you can really choose anywhere to mount your lights. We've chosen to put them in between our 2 mounting brackets. Again, you are drilling into the pinch weld, so the choice is yours. We're going to go ahead and mark a couple spots and then mount them in those spots. Now peel up the 3M backing on the LED and place that onto your pinch weld. Again, that's going to be a 19th 64th drill bit for you folks at home drilling through the pinch weld. Now we are using spade connectors for demonstration purposes. You can really wire these however you want. And finally, clean up your wiring underneath the truck with the kit provided zip ties. Now that's going to wrap it up for our review and install of the Research PowerStep Running Boards fitting your 19 and newer Ram 1500. Thanks for watching, guys, and for more videos just like this, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.